Ah, the damnable racket of battle. Watch yourself. Even more of these crawling beasts are hiding in the underbrush. Quit your yapping for now. We'll talk when the company is better. Get to fighting! Well, that was acceptable. You're not quite the commander I'd have accompanied in my youth, but you managed to walk away. I'm Jolee. Jolee Bindo. Follow me to my camp and we'll talk a bit. Why am I here? Well, it isn't because I like the stink of dead kinrath. Let's move this talk to my camp where the air is better. Keep close. It's nearby under a log. Yeah, I live like some burrowing rodent. I fought the Sith. Now look at me. Don't start fawning just yet. I'm too old for it. I know a few things, but we can talk about it at my camp. Look, you can follow now or stumble around on your own, but I'm too old to care whether you think I'm babysitting you. That's the way. I proved that wasn't blind luck, you baby. Well, welcome to my home, such as it is. Pull up a stump and be comfortable. We should discuss a few things. Don't coddle me, child. I'm neither a Jedi nor your master. I'm just an old man that's been lost in the woods for far too long. My days of glory are behind me, but perhaps there is something I can do for you. You must have questions. Look, we've been through this before. My past is my affair. Get some years behind you, and then we'll talk about me. I think you'll agree that we have more important things to discuss, no? What is there to tell? Jolee Bindo is the crazy old man in the dangerous woods. I'm content with the impression I give. I follow the Jedi way, and I command the Force, yes. And I suppose that makes me as much a Jedi as anyone, but what of it? I've seen my share of the dark and the light, and frankly, both extremes annoy me. Of course, I have felt rumblings of change. Perhaps you will be of some assistance to me after all. Let us discuss what you came here for. And it makes you think I may have the taint of the dark side in me, doesn't it? Ooh, is that what you're wondering, huh? Ooh. Well, I assure you, I see more gray than dark or light. I'm just a stubborn old man, tired of the foolishness of others. Wait, slow down. I have to ask something of you. I've got something you need, and you can help me. We both know why you have come here. The star map. That has to be it. There's nothing else here. The problems of a few Wookiees don't amount to anything before the concerns of the Jedi. No, you are here for the map. Kashyyyk is an interesting place, more so than anyone suspects. If Czerka Corporation knew, the planet would be a strip mine. The Wookiees have their legends that they were not always here, but it is more than that. The trees themselves are strangers. What I'm saying is that there are literally walls in your way, and you won't find what you need without my help. And my help has a price. Of course, this won't be a problem for you since you have already completed my task, removal of the Czerka poachers. Now, I'm not sure if you'll measure up to my task, seeing as how you've already joined up with the slime I want gone. The Czerka poachers. I can smell that scent they use on you. I don't care what you told them. I want them gone. After you do that, I want to join up with you. Then I'll remove the barrier between you and the lower Shadowlands. A hunting monkey is part of your great plan? I know you talk to the Czerka poachers, and I don't care. I want them gone. Oh, save it. I know this sounds absurd, but I'm old and entitled to work you around a bit. Besides, the test is simple. Since they began expanding in the Shadowlands, the Czerka have left me alone for the most part. Until recently, anyway. A group of them set up camp not far from here. Poachers is all they are. I'd like them removed from this place. They don't respect this place. They're butchering wildlife and threatening entire species. It's getting under my skin. The Wookiees could take care of themselves if they wished, but the animals are truly helpless victims. Oh, please, this is arbitrary errand work. But such are the requests of the aged. You still have to do it. Their camp is in the far northeast. Now remember, if I wanted them dead, I'd have done it myself. Find a better way. Good. Return to me here and we'll see how you have done. Shoo! Shoo! Yes, I'm an old man that's getting fussy. Call me foolish if you will. I don't care. You still have to do it. I told you, they are destroying the environment. People are mostly annoying, but the balance of nature, that needs protecting. They are not that far northeast of here. There's usually 5 in the area, as far as I can see. The captain of the lot is the one that earned my ire. Mishandle my garden, Willie? You presumably have a ship. I've seen all I wish to here. Isn't that enough? I mean, I'm really sick of the trees. And perhaps your destiny might show me something new. You never know. Don't talk back to your elders, child. Look, they know me quite well, and are always on alert when I approach. The only way I could get rid of them would be violence, which would eventually lead to trouble for the Wookiees. I want them gone, but with as little fuss as possible. They have already caused enough trouble as it is. Did I? You have annoyingly good ears. It doesn't matter. Those days are gone. Leave them in their graves. Why? Don't you like what I've done with the place? The creatures here aren't any more treacherous than elsewhere. Yes, among the Wookiees. Intriguing creatures. I like that they have little patience for bureaucrats. But of course, even here there are hidden things that manipulate. Circa Corporation was smart to put him in power. He's as good at destroying Wookiee culture as dropping corpses full of Ardroxian flu. Will you work for him or against him, I wonder? I will be interested to see. Sure. How's this? Think for yourself. I don't care for politics, and I'm big on letting people figure things out for themselves. The Wookiees have prophecies of deliverance if you ask them. But for now, they follow without hesitation. That is their wish. Maddened with grief, perhaps, but not crazed. I helped him pass to the lower forest where only a Wookiee could follow. Some other matters will determine if you can follow. There is a barrier that, well, we'll talk of that more in a moment. It is a very unfortunate matter. It will end in shame and sorrow. You will find Rorwar down here, and more. I've witnessed a number of happenings, but I've left them for others to sort out. I wasn't aware I had to be. Look, events like these reveal much about the people involved. I'm well past that introspective tripe. I'm not saying that outside help isn't needed. I didn't want to make anyone mad while I didn't have a way off the planet. We'll talk more about that momentarily. On the body of Rorwar, I know. His death will not go unnoticed. I've been wondering how this foolishness would play out. I am no weaponsmith, but someone in the village will be able to identify the owner of that bolt casing. They are very personal items. Fine, just be brief. I smelled a tax scent on you. Did you agree to hunt for them? Let me remind you that I do not approve, and you need me. Go to their camp and get rid of them. When you are through, we can proceed to the lower Shadowlands. Not before. They are not hard to find. Their camp is to the far northeast. Try to get them to leave without too much fuss. After you finish, I will make it so you can pass the barrier that prevents your access to the lower Shadowlands. Now, why would you be asking about that, Don't answer. I knew that had to be why you were here. I told you my price. After you complete my task, I'll make it so you can pass the barriers blocking your goal. That's all I will add on the subject. I thought you would spot that. It's easy to see with Force-sensitive eyes, isn't it? Zerka put it there. It's a troublesome thing, blocking some access to the lower Shadowlands. That's where you want to go, isn't it? I saw them put it in, so only I know how to manipulate it. That knowledge will serve me now. Do as I ask. You'll have nothing but time if you don't take what help you can. I've been here for many years. I know things. Remember that. I'm sure you are, but you have to take time to listen. Really, you shouldn't try so hard to make new enemies. Do you? Well, I'd better not keep you. I've only spent about 20 years here. What could I possibly tell you? You don't want to be just another fool with a big impatient chip on their shoulder. That's a dark road, child. Yes, I suppose it's my lot in life. To spend years learning something so that someone else can be impatient to hear it. Oh, your manner is fearsome. Like the little ullers I shoo from the garden, hissing at what they don't understand. I'm too old for your posturing, child. If you have questions, then ask them. Welcome back. I wonder, have you had much luck? Have you done as I asked? Yes, I heard the fuss of it. I told you I wanted a non-violent solution, and I had my reasons for it. You should have thought about that. Zerka Corporation will find the bodies and blame the Wookiees. This may cause more troops to be deployed. That means more disruption. I'm not pleased, but what's done is done. And I'm not here to judge you. Hopefully you'll take care of that yourself. Well, perhaps I have a duty to point out what you should have learned from this. Or perhaps no. I see. You are completely detached. Are you sure you're not a droid? It doesn't matter. A trivial thing like this is no measure of anyone. Oh, go bark up a tree. You'll get the same response out of me. Besides, I'm not about to get in the habit of grading you. Oh, you're pretty much right, really. Truth be known, I won't judge how you fared, as long as you can live with yourself. Was that convincing? It's been a while since I've been in the company of someone that needed that kind of babysitting. A good teacher, and I'm not saying that I am one, but a good teacher doesn't mash a book in a student's face shouting, "Learn this bit here." If you can't look at the situation for yourself and see the logic behind my way of doing things, you're not the type to understand me anyway. Besides, you're a little old for that master-student fuss, aren't you? I know I am. You were here and it needed doing. Besides, dealing with the Zerka is dirty business. I hope you washed your hands. Yes, of course. Let's get moving. I noticed the old path some time ago. You probably wouldn't have found them on your own. And on the other side, ancient answers. And perhaps a Wookiee you are seeking. I hope he's in the mood for visitors. I know where you want to go. I can get you through to the old paths. This forest hides some strange things. Yes, I could feel it as you walked near. And I don't sense the smell of death on you. You spared them. Interesting. Wasn't there? I suppose not, but the environment would say otherwise if it could talk. No matter. If you imagined a meaning behind it, I suppose that's good. But I don't think such a trivial thing is any real measure of a person. Well, hurry up. You don't want to be stuck here as long as I have. Why should being what I am compel me to entertain others with tales of the good old days, huh?
It's kind of nice to meet a Jedi who isn't all hung up on this light side, dark side stuff. Gets pretty tiring, you know?
I do not feel a taint of the dark side within you, old man. I sense you are a servant of the light, whether you will admit it or not.
I can feel the power of the Force within you, old man, but I do not sense the taint of the dark side. I think you are a servant of the light, despite
I've helped
what you
you all
claim.
I'm going.
That would be me, Jolee Bindo. Do I really look so different up close? Here we are again. Shall I bypass the field so we may pass? There, you see? Beautifully subtle, isn't it? At least compared to the other Zerka equipment dumped down here. It's only been here a short while, or the Wookiees would have disabled it. They wouldn't have had an easy time of it, though. Well, I think it was an attempt to block the more dangerous carnivores from wandering freely. But it's not very effective. It limits us non-climbers, but the creatures of Kashyyyk are very adaptable. You'll see why when we reach your goal. Yes, but I don't make a habit of it. The other side is genuinely dangerous. I can manipulate it for a moment. Let me see. How did the Zerka engineers do it? But there are others, each blocking similar points on certain paths. It is all very calculated, very precise. It would have been effective if it hadn't relied on the creatures to be walking. Climbers don't have much trouble getting around it. You aren't going to ask about it? A repulsor field in the woods and you have no interest? All right then. How'd it go? Very well. Young Durga spits like you have no appreciation for details. Now, let's see. How did it go? There we go. There we go. Now, keep moving. These are the most dangerous depths of Kashyyyk. A few surprises wait for us, I'll wager.
You have interrupted our hunt, interloper. The inhabitants of this world could do little against us, but you appear to be a threat.
More than a threat enough for you.
Another Mandalore, is it? Will you draw arms against those you should serve? We'll see who lives this day.
Error. Corruption. Extrapolating. This utility was built to monitor planet-wide agricultural reformation. It has since malfunctioned. It can be theorized that the supergrowth of Kashyyyk's forests is a direct result.
Well, that is surprising. I doubt any Wookiee would support such a claim. The forest is millennia old.
This interface was installed to better access the ancient data stored within the pre-existing system. The exact date is unavailable. Programming keys indicate no earlier than 5 years before current Republic standard.
5 years ago. I didn't notice it. This must have been installed in strictest secrecy. Couldn't have been Zerka.
Sorting by identity. 3 attempts by the Wookiee Freyr, all denied. 152 attempts by human Jolee Bindo, all denied.
Call me stubborn, I guess. There wasn't much else to do around here.
The temperament of a companion is unreliable at best. You wisely trade the threat of 1 year or 5 for none or 2.
This machine certainly seems to want a very specific type of response. Well, a star map. An ancient artifact of dark side power. Can't say I'm surprised. I always knew there was something funny down here. I wonder if the star map has had an effect on the evolution of the creatures here in the Shadowlands. Might explain why it's so dangerous down here. An interesting theory, but I suppose we don't have time to test it now, do we? Now that we've got what you came for, we should be heading back up to the treetops. Harvesting. Tell us about this agreement with the Wookiee leadership. This will end in sadness. Don't say I didn't warn you. There was pain no matter how this ended. Perhaps this is for the best. A painful end, but perhaps it is the right thing to do. We shall see. I urge you caution. This may seem like the right path to follow, but you do not know these people as I do. Oh, yes. Far better to have both the blade and a possible rival as far from Kashyyyk as possible, eh? I feel very tired of this place now. Right you are. I think I'll do just that. My. Best to give an angry Wookiee his due, I'd say. Bah, save your threats. I'm sick of the forest. And I'm not too fond of what happened here. I'll take the ride. That is your advice? Side with the slaver? Fine. It's your call. Now you just close your hole, child. It's a shock, I'm sure. But this isn't about you. Oh, this isn't wise. An angry Wookiee can't be reasoned with. He's almost feral after all this time. Calm yourself, Freyr. We are friends. Don't you remember me? Well, this may prove difficult. That's when I first saw him. I helped his pursuers lose him for a moment. Do you remember me now, Freyr? I don't approve of this. Is Chundar to be blindly obeyed? Perhaps not. Do what you will. I'm just wondering if Chundar is the wiser choice of ally. Did we come this far only to kill this old Wook? I don't approve of this at all. I know he did, but not without reason. The only outsiders he's seen for years have been slavers. Hold your tongue, child. I'm not challenging you. I just thought you'd have the smarts to consider every option. I don't support this action. Think on this, child. Look, I'm not your nanny droid, but I just don't think following Chundar is the best course. Is that it? You spared his life initially just to cut him off before he can fully explain himself? The Jedi Council wouldn't approve, but they always were a little stodgy about using the Force on people. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I know I'm just an old codger, but at my time I've learned that what goes around comes around. These things have a way of coming back to you in the end. Reminds me of my old smuggling days. Nothing better than the old Jedi mind trick for getting past an overly curious customs officer. Nice. Real nice. Maybe later we could find some insects to pull the legs off, huh? Hey, kid, that was a good thing you did there. Almost brought a tear to this old man's eye. There'll be time for chatter after we find whatever has caused this disturbance in the Force. It's dangerous, so keep on your toes. Got something on your mind, do you? Oh, I know plenty about Kashyyyk. You think someone doesn't live here for 20 years and pick up a thing or two? Chances are, by the time I finish telling you about it all, you would have found out for yourself. So there's no reason for me to start blathering on. It should be enough for me to tell you that there's kilometer after kilometer of trees on this planet. The deeper you go, the more dangerous it gets. If you're smart, you stay on top with the Wookiees. You go deep, however, and you may find some things you weren't expecting. And that's about all I got to say about that. Now, let's get going. Well, unless you're one of the local species and end up being slaughtered or enslaved. Tatooine's a nice enough desert. Korriban's a rock. Mind the Sith. Manon's an unusual place. Not for its water, mind you. It's the Kolto, healing juice, only place where it occurs in the galaxy. Hard to say what this planet is. Been lost for thousands of years, if not more. Smells like bad karma, so watch your step. It's a ship. To be more specific, it's your ship. You tell me. No more than you. Get going. How many could you possibly need? And besides, I don't have enough supplies on me to put some more together. Ask me later when you're actually in need and I'm less tired. I'm not a kit factory, you know. Well, I suppose I could whip up something, a few herbs and such. You do know that the best alternative is not to get hurt, right? Well, not to say that you go leaping into the path of blaster fire or anything, but I know how you young people get. Here, take it. You got yourself a fast little ship? I'd forgotten what engine sounded like. The closest thing to that on Kashyyyk is an uller in mating season. Oh, frightful. Or it could be for the free food. What's the gunk that comes out of the synthesizer on this bucket anyway? Do you never clean the darn thing? I'm old, damn it. I'm allowed to be enigmatic when I want to be. And don't you go telling me otherwise. You know, you remind me of someone else I knew ages ago. Pleasant enough fellow, great destiny. All of that. Breath like a bantha. Oh, very funny. Is it my fault that some people are so easily annoyed? They're like impatient little children. With blasters. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes, Andor Vex was his name. The Force swirled around him like a hurricane. That's how great his destiny was. No, you wouldn't have. Sometimes swirling force is just swirling force. It gets us old Jedis excited at our age, so we go, ooh, destiny. Well, it turned out that poor Andor believed a wee bit too much in the infallibility of that destiny. That overconfidence turned out to be his downfall. I don't know. Are you overconfident? I hadn't noticed. Even if I had, I would never comment on it. We're talking about Andor, remember? Let's see. Oh, yes, Andor's downfall. I was pretty young myself when it happened. At the time, I thought that Andor's destiny couldn't be more boring. Well, let's just say that I was a strapping young lad with a full head of hair, and Coruscant was a small town with a well. I was just about to abandon Andor to whatever the Force intended for him when his ship was overtaken by a Dimian warship. Now, you've probably never heard of the Dimians, but at the time they were a nasty lot led by a nastier overlord named Krat. Tall fellow, big teeth. Krat has us hauled onto the bridge of his ship for questioning, and that's when I knew that Andor's destiny was at hand. Of course he did. Haven't you been listening? It was not in the way you'd probably expect, though. Swirling force, remember? Jedi here. Granted, I was just interpreting the signs, but we get trained in that sort of thing, more or less. Well, Andor decides that his destiny makes him invulnerable and starts making all sorts of demands. Free me now. I'm not answering questions. Blah, blah, blah. Don't you know who I am? Krat decides he's had enough and begins crushing Andor's neck. I told the boy he should have kept his mouth shut. I think he agreed, too, or those could have just been gurgling noises. Oh, well, anyway. Finally, Krat has enough of Andor and tosses him aside into this giant energy intake shaft. Andor gets sucked in and starts bouncing around, screaming. Maybe Andor hit something sensitive on the way down or just didn't agree with the reactor core. Next thing I know, all the ship's alarms are ringing. Everyone panics, and I run, barely making it to the ship in time before the explosion. Krat dies horribly, and the Dimians never quite recovered. Changed the political course of the entire sector for centuries to come. I'd call that quite a destiny, wouldn't you? Well, now that's the ingratitude of youth for you. I relate an exciting tale, and do I get thanked for it? No. No, it's all me, me, me. What, are you kidding? What are the odds of that happening anyway? 1,000,000,000 to 1? You should do so well as to be sucked into the engine of some evil Sith Lord, you know. Andor was a hero. Sort of. Well, hey, the chances may not be great, but when one has the opportunity to see something like that twice in a lifetime. Anyway, go on. My throat is dry and you're making me cranky. Shoo! You know, if you keep interrupting, it will take even longer. Have you no patience at all? How did you get as old as you are, anyway? Well, he had a much better food dispenser than you do. That and the fact that even I wasn't an altogether impatient twit. Does it have to have a point? I thought we were just talking about Andor. Something wrong with your attention span? I am not. I've no need to make things up. With my poor memory and all. You just sit still and let me finish, damn it. Well, it's not so much a hurricane as a slight breeze. But that doesn't mean anything. Destiny is sometimes in the eye of the beholder. I did. Just because someone has the Force swirling about them doesn't always mean they have a great destiny. But it doesn't hurt to check it out. No, but it could be. An Anduvian salt tablet would clear that right up, you know. So I am. Tell you what. When you get to be my age, you can go ahead and answer any question you like to. You have my permission. How impatient can one person be? You must have driven your mother mad. All that gurgling and fussing. Babies are cute, but annoying. Wow, you're not much for interrogation, are you? Is this as hard as you try? Remind me to sign up for your next torture session. No, I never did I? Of course you do. I know things, remember? You think you can make it around this part of the galaxy without me? Don't answer that. At any rate, I already told you why I wanted to leave. I'd seen everything I wanted to on Kashyyyk. Time to go. Time to move on. To bed! I'm old and tired, you know. How many kilometer-high trees can you find an interest in before you figure you've had enough? I'd bet you can't be bothered to stay in one room for more than 15 minutes. And then there's all the critters in the Shadowlands. I'm just happy to be back in space, doing something new. Is that too much to ask? So I could. Well, not having a ship does tend to put a damper on that kind of idea, however. I'll admit, for all its flaws, Kashyyyk was home enough. But when you came along and I saw the destiny you had before you, I couldn't help but be intrigued. Of course not. Weren't you listening last time? I can see that you have a destiny before you, but the details are far from clear. In fact, everything about you that I can see is odd. Slightly off, as if my eyes are trying to trick me. Something is very dark about you. But, I'm sure you don't need to hear my ruminations. You've probably got enough nosy Jedi offering you one opinion after another to make you sick. Your future will come of its own accord, trust me. Sometimes navel-gazing at it doesn't get you anywhere. I wouldn't worry about it too much if I were you. You remind me a bit of Nomi. And that can be all bad. Nomi Sunrider. She came late to the Force, just as you have, and became one of the greatest Jedi ever. Oh, fine lass. Whether you'll follow the same path remains to be seen. For one thing, we'll never get anywhere if you stand around chatting up old men all day. Oh, stop being such a baby. Are you always so quick to turn aside an ally? Got too many of them, do you? Nonsense. Have I ever refused to help you when you asked? How confused can one person be anyway? Good, since I didn't offer to be one. You think anyone would want to mentor you with that kind of attitude? Not me. I'm past that. One thing I will say is that this little escapade does remind me a bit of my adventuring days before the war. Those were exciting times. Or at least it would remind me of those times if we didn't stand around. What's keeping you? You're too young to be so talkative. Shoo! Well, I, for one, am quite content to let you make your own mistakes. Just because I want to see where this ends up doesn't mean I need to tell you how to get there. I'll remind you that you're the one who started pumping me for information. Like an old man doesn't have anything better to do. Interest? Well, I certainly don't have a vested interest. Call it more idle curiosity. Your destiny is rather unclear. Have I offered a single opinion? No, I haven't. Though you could do far worse than hear a couple of mine. Your destiny, after all, is rather unclear. You got a smart mouth on you there, you know that? If others could talk, they'd sound like that. There. Now, was that so hard? An old man has to be allowed some petty eccentricities. Nice to see you agree for once. The hermit says he's tired of living alone in the giant forest, and you find that hard to believe. How cynical are you? You live in an overgrown stump with a tax beating down your door, and you tell me how happy you would be. I was pleased just to have visitors. Elusive? Me elusive? Obviously, you've never tried to grab a Twi'lek dancing girl after drinking too much Onderan Willick juice. My. Somebody woke up on the wrong side of the starship this morning, I see. Is that a chip on your shoulder, or are you a bit surly today? Did I say that? Strange the tricks memory plays on you when you get older. Didn't I say that my past was my affair? You don't see me poking and prodding you with questions, do you? Well, that's a relief. Maybe an old man can finally get some peace around here. Now run along and do whatever you were doing already. I'm not here to satisfy your curiosity. No staring at the old man, that's what the sign says, damn it. I might be, but a mouthy young thing like yourself shouldn't get to call me an old coot, damn it. And besides, you don't really want to hear about me. We're talking ancient history, probably before you were born. History bores kids. Proven fact. Oh, fine. Have it your way. Just don't cry about it later. So you're not. Fine. Have it your way. Just don't say I didn't warn you. Yes, I was an adventurer. Happy now? I wasn't even done with my Jedi training back then. I had a full head of hair and an eagerness to see absolutely everything. Sound familiar? The Council was never happy with willful, brash Jolee Bindo, you see. Even less so when I began my smuggling career. Don't look at me like that, damn it. I wasn't always the wrinkled coot I am now, you know. I can still fight, too. So wipe off that smirk I see there. You're very sure of that, are you? My. You must be very learned and experienced to know so many things. At any rate, I was still a Padawan at the time. At the time, the Yukata system was interdicted by its own king. He preferred to keep his people starving and poor, all the better to oppress them. The Senate was trying to negotiate a peace, but they were getting nowhere as usual. And I decided I wasn't going to wait. I found myself a ship and a partner, and we began smuggling food and supplies to the Yukata citizenry through the blockade. Oh, it was. I was a half-decent pilot in those days, and with the Force guiding me, we made it through some tough spots nobody else would have. Pilot, smuggler, several other things, too. Or did you suppose I was always a crotchety hermit? Well, we didn't buy all the equipment, per se. Some were happy to donate goods. Some we just, knew had more than they could use. Stole is such a harsh word. They would have donated those goods readily enough if they were compassionate. I considered it a tax on the greedy. We only got caught once. A lone Yukatish frigate shot us down and forced a crash landing. I thought the Force had abandoned me, as I remember. Well, as it happens, getting shot down turned out to be very fortunate. That day was the day that was the day I met my wife. It's all right. When you're digging through the trash, you shouldn't be surprised when you encounter something unpleasant. You know another way to get a wife? But yes, that's when I met her. No, that was a good memory. There are just much worse ones that followed. If it's all the same to you, I'd prefer to stop talking now. My mouth is starting to draw flies. Oh, so you're going to speak for the Force now, are you? I deserve to crash, is that it? As I recall, I'm not the only person in this conversation who's been shot down out of the sky recently. Why not? There were millions of people crying out for aid. What else was I supposed to do? Don't be stupid. Are you doing nothing? If nothing's not good enough for you, there's no reason it should have been good enough for me back then either. I don't want to talk about that. Maybe, but I doubt it. I'm made stubborn that way. Now that's a unique method of getting someone to talk. Thunder about like a bantha in a circuit shop. Does that work for you often? Yes, you do. You may mean well enough, but my private affairs are just that. Private. Let me tell you something. Once you've lived as many years as I have, you'll have yourself a long list of memories. If you're lucky, most of them will be good. If you're not, some will be bad. If you're really unlucky, some will be so bad you never want to be reminded of them again, ever. You'll go far away, to a place that doesn't hold any memories at all. And there you'll be happy just to forget and be forgotten. You say that now, but I'm talking to you from across the breadth of many years' experience. That is a gap I simply can't cross for you. Partly, maybe. I doubt I could ever explain it to you fully, even if I wanted to. There are worse things to call yourself, for better reasons. If you don't think it's even possible that you might be flinging those words at yourself one day, you're younger than I thought. Let me ask you this. Have you ever been in love? Truly in love, I mean, and not simple infatuation. Exactly. You're still at the beginning of your life. There will be women in your life, perhaps many women. But if you're fortunate, you'll find love once. Exactly. You're still at the beginning of your life. There will be men in your life, perhaps many men. But if you're fortunate, you'll find love once. The Jedi, with their damnable sense of over-caution, would tell you love is something to avoid. Thankfully, anyone who's even partially alive knows that's not true. Love doesn't lead to the dark side. Passion can lead to rage and fear, and can be controlled. But passion is not the same thing as love. Controlling your passions while being in love, that's what they should teach you to beware. But love itself will save you, not condemn you. But listen to me go on as if I had all the answers. What do I know of love anymore? I'm just a lonely old man who's not even a Jedi. Maybe. Do you want to avoid the greatest things in life simply because they come with some complications? Love causes pain, certainly. Inevitably, love is going to lead to as much sorrow and regret as it does joy. I suppose there are perfect, eternal loves out there, but I haven't seen any. And how do you deal with the bad part of love is what determines your character. What determines the dark side's hold over you. I suppose it could. It would take a strong person to make that kind of commitment, I think. Someone with a great sense of self. Bah! A life without risk is boring. Is that how you want to live? You want love, you've got to fight for it. I haven't changed my mind. I'm still not going to talk about it. You go and find your own love if you want to know so badly. I'll tell you one thing. Sometimes, no matter how hard you try, you and the one you love simply aren't meant to be together. The trick is to know when that is, to know when it's time to fight and when it's time to part ways. There I go, waxing philosophical again. Somebody blast me already. Let's get going before I start talking in riddles, damn it. Don't I? Maybe you're right. It seems whatever I have to say is falling on deaf ears anyhow. So go on, run amok and kiss the bantha for all I care. I won't comment on it. You do you? I wouldn't listen too closely. I'm no authority on anything. I just think that the greatest things in life shouldn't be avoided because they come with a few complications. And why not? All this nonsense about avoiding love is so much foo-foo. I shouldn't be the only one who realizes that. Who said I left the Jedi? Well, technically I was only a Padawan. Not that that makes a difference to most, but as for the Order itself, no, I never left it. It left me. You know what I hate? Well, lots of things really, but I'm old and easily annoyed, but that's besides the point. What I really hate are how most people view the Jedi. Everyone thinks that the Jedi are perfect, that they can do no wrong. They think the Jedi Council is completely incapable of injustice. I guess you aren't as stupid as you sometimes act. No doubt you've been on the receiving end of Jedi justice at least once, eh? Damn right I disagree. The Jedi are just as capable of injustice as anyone else. They may try harder, sure, but sometimes they get it wrong. Quiet, you. I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the Jedi as a whole. They are just as capable of imperfection and injustice as anyone else, as you can obviously see. And I'm not even talking about how some of us fall to the dark side. No, that's plenty indication of our fallibility. But it's something else entirely. No, I'm talking about how more than often not, your average robe-wearing Jedi can try to do the right thing and still be completely wrong. I suppose I'm not being very clear, am I? Come to think of it, I don't have to be clear. Someone my age is entitled to ramble, damn it. But for your sake, I'll try to explain. I'll tell you a little tale about a Jedi master I once knew. Hortath, I think. Or was it Hortoth? I can never get it straight. Where was I then? Oh yes, Master Hortath. He was a kindly old Jedi who meant well, but the most nearsighted thing in the Corps, I swear. He would walk into walls, knock over tables, mistake apprentices for rancor beasts, that sort of thing. And he was too proud to submit to proper treatment. Some used to counsel him in the urge to use the Force, Master Hortath. Allow the Force to see for you. But he refused to believe that his eyes were failing. He simply squinted more and more as the years went on, the other Jedi resignedly passing it off as the amusing quirk of a compassionate old man. I'm not finished yet. Now shush! So, one day a young Padawan meets Master Hortath in the courtyard and, not knowing of his blindness, asks him for directions to the council. Quite sure of himself, Hortath gave the lad directions, which happened to lead back outside and away from the Enclave. The Padawan is confused, naturally, and he asks if Master Hortath is sure, and of course Master Hortath says that he is. The Padawan suggests that perhaps he should ask someone else, but the proud Hortath now feels insulted. He tells the Padawan to take the route he prescribed and no other. Rather dejectedly, the Padawan did as he was told, and so ended up leaving the Jedi Order forever. It was decided that the boy's fate was to leave the Order anyway, though whether that was out of respect for Hortath or because the boy went on to something else, well, we'll never know. Not much. I never knew the Padawan nor met Master Hortath himself. He was before my time. No, both of them were from before my time. Well before the Sith Wars, even. The tale is about blindness, and I thought the point was clear. At any rate, you think about it. You're the one who asked why the Jedi left me, remember? Now let's get going. My feet are itching for a good run. Considering that it's about blindness, I think that's an appropriate response. You're the one who asked why the Jedi left me, remember? You know the problem with the youth today? They're young. You're the one who was asking me about the Jedi, damn it! Now, do you want the story or not? Boring you, am I? Well, you just keep your questions to yourself next time. No need for old men to go and make nuisances of themselves. No, the Jedi always treated me well. It would be foolish and untrue to say otherwise. That's not what I meant, anyway. That's true, but it's not what I meant. I guess I'm not being clear, am I? Oh, is it? There are moments when I think you must be much older than you seem, but this isn't one of them. Something wrong with your ears? I thought folks only went deaf when they got to my age. I follow the Jedi way and use the Force, don't I? That makes me a Jedi last time I checked. But the Order itself, the Jedi Council and so forth, no. I'm not part of that and haven't been for a long time. And good riddance, I say. A rogue, am I? You speak as if there must be something wrong with me. Like not being part of the Order makes me a criminal. Don't get so uppity, damn it. The point I was trying to make, if you decide to actually listen, is that I never left the Order. The Order left me. Bad men. Women, too, to be fair. Oh, indeed. They make a fine sandwich, also. But don't tell the Jedi Council I said that. Who's playing games? Ask the next Sith you see if they're bad, and they'll set you straight. And just what gave you the impression that I know anything more about the Sith than you do? Oh, that's right. Damn the ears of the young. I was expecting you to be your usual inattentive self when I mentioned that. So it's true, yes. I fought plenty of Sith. That was during the time of Exar Kun. Oh, 40 years ago now. Has it been that long? No, of course not. The Sith have come and gone for ages. They were not called the Sith many thousands of years ago, perhaps. But the dark side was always present, without a doubt. Oh, sure, occasionally the light side comes close to vanquishing the dark, but the dark always returns. The fact that Exar Kun was defeated didn't mean the Sith would never return, as they obviously have now. Everyone knows that. That is not a pleasant time to remember. After Exar Kun fell to the dark side, he attempted to recruit other Jedi to his cause. What surprised us, what took us completely unprepared, was how utterly successful he was. Many Jedi joined him and became Sith themselves. Why they did, I will never truly know, but they did. Battle broke out throughout the Order, pupil against master. We fought ourselves. Yes, more than difficult. Next to impossible. How do you fight against someone you love? Oh, easy now to call them traitors. But tell me, how do you fight against someone that you love? Pah, I dislike such memories. It leaves a taste in the mouth that... it is a sadness I thought I had put aside long ago. Ask me about the war some other time, just not now. I would prefer to be by myself for now. I've often held the opinion that history has one basic flaw. It is seldom heeded. So go on and greet the world with your spite. Let's see where it takes you. You certainly don't need to hear any more from me. Exar was a Jedi who was corrupted by ghosts of the old Sith, or so they say. He attempted to conquer the Republic and create a new golden age of the Sith. Better to say he was defeated, but essentially, yes. The victory did not come easily, however. A Sith believes he commands the Force, but it is the dark side who commands him. You know this. There is little else I could truly add. Not particularly. I suppose you're going to nag me until I cough it up, aren't you? Nothing is private anymore, it looks like. There's no escaping it, I guess. So be it. My wife's name was Neyama. She was the Yukatis enforcer who shot me out of the sky, if you remember. My wife had plenty to do with the war. Upon meeting her, I knew right away that she was strong in the Force. That's why she was able to shoot me down. Neyama was a marvel of a woman. Fiery, determined, smart. She dragged me to the capital and foiled 3 of my attempts to escape prison. Oh, and that body. Well, yes, that. Needless to say, I eventually won her over. That was after I kidnapped her upon being broken out of the Yukatis prison, mind you. But, that's another story entirely. At any rate, I wanted to train her in the Jedi way. The Council refused my request, naturally. I was still a Padawan at the time. I did. I wasn't the first, and I won't be the last. The problem with self-righteous folk is they think they're more right than everyone else. Easy to say now. At the time, I just thought I was right. Neyama was intrigued by the idea of becoming a Jedi. She liked the idea of power too much, perhaps, but I certainly didn't see that at the time. I believed in her and trained her in secret. I ignored her willful nature. I loved her too much to see fault in her, and she loved me too. I know she did. At the time, our love was a shared bliss, better than anything I had known before or since. Exar Kun is what happened. Neyama was inspired by Exar's promises of a new golden age. She wanted to join him. She came to me, pleading with me to throw aside what she called the decrepit trappings of the Jedi, to join her in Exar's war. I hadn't thought so, not right then. I was too proud to believe that of her. I had trained her myself. I loved her. No, of course I didn't kill her. How could I? I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about what she was doing. I pleaded with her to reconsider, to think about all that she was throwing away, to think about what she would become. She would have none of it. Finally, in frustration, she attacked me. She drew her lightsaber and attempted to strike me down. It was a scene being repeated everywhere throughout the galaxy. Pupil against master. In my case, it was a long and terrible battle. But I defeated her. No, I had her at my mercy, disarmed and defenseless. She looked up at me and she knew. She knew I couldn't do it, but I should have. Sometimes I convince myself otherwise, but it's no use. She had fallen to the dark side when she raised her saber against me. Yes, I think she truly fell the moment she raised up her saber against me. I've played that instant in my head so many times. Was I? Sometimes I convince myself that I couldn't have done otherwise, that I couldn't have seen that she had truly fallen to the dark side. But yes, I was a fool, and I let her go. To my shame, she went on to kill many Jedi during the war, until she herself was slain in the final battle. I grieved for her death, inevitable as it was, even as the Jedi Council put me on trial for my actions once the war was over. I had trained Neyama against their wishes. I had failed to kill her when I had the chance, and she went on to kill others. It was a travesty, of course. I told you that even the Jedi were capable of great injustices, didn't I? Not at all. They found me innocent. Of course I deserved to be punished. They found me innocent anyway. But I deserved to be tried. They found me innocent. Even though I deserved every punishment and more, they let me go. Mitigating circumstances, they said. I deserved compassion, they said. That was when the Jedi left me. That was when they failed me. No, maybe you don't at that. For my pride? For my cowardice? Which do you think is the act more befitting the Jedi? They may have been able to forgive me. I could never forgive myself. Yes, I do, I suppose. Does that surprise you? It is all so long ago, lost in the winds, I suppose. Nobody cares what an old man believes anymore, do they? Let's continue on with the task at hand. I would prefer to think of the present today. Bah! You got ears that work, don't you? I was a smuggler, way back. I got shot down once over Yucatás. That story, yes. No, I'm not senile, damn it. Not yet, anyway. Well, at least I don't think so. At any rate, I'll tell the story the way I want to. I'm not interested in your demands. I'll tell my story when I'm damn good and ready, which isn't now, so shoo! Such a charming and persuasive manner you have there. Forget it! Oh, that was not until many years later, to tell the truth. I spent quite some time wandering the galaxy. Why wouldn't they? I had refused my promotion to Jedi. I was a Padawan who had left the Order, nothing more. I traveled from one civilized system to the next, never staying long. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. Nothing so extravagant. I merely traveled from place to place. I don't even think I knew what I was searching for. It wasn't as if my travels were pleasant either. There were plenty of folks who distrusted the Jedi after the war. Or worse. If people weren't treating me with suspicion, they were looking at me with greed. I don't know how many thought they could make use of me for their own ends. I got so sick of the treachery and deceit. I left the civilized parts of the galaxy and headed instead for the uncivilized parts. Actually, I was on my way somewhere else when I crash-landed on Kashyyyk. The ship I was using was a rust bucket. I'd taken some damage passing through an unexpected asteroid field, as I recall, but I wasn't completely without some systems. I could still guide her a bit when I crashed. It wasn't what I would call the smoothest landing, especially considering I ended up smack in the depths of the Shadowlands. But I lived. I'm no mechanic. And besides, after you plunge nose first in the trunk of a 5-kilometer-high tree, chances are you don't have much ship left. Sure, why not? It seemed like an interesting enough place to spend a couple of decades exploring. That was a challenge at first. You've seen the kind of creatures that exist down there. and you miss the really big ones. I was still able to rely on the Force to keep me safe for the most part. The rest of the trick is keeping out of the way of most of the predators. No, that's true. Still, most of the creatures grow accustomed to me, and I to them. At least none of them ever heard of a Jedi. Bah, what do you know? I'd done enough wandering by that point, thank you very much. I felt at peace in the Shadowlands. Oh, they did at first, oh yes. I can't say I was overly pleased to encounter a group of indigenous giant carpets either, I can assure you of that. No, I was the intruder in their land after all. They got to trust me well enough after a couple of decades of my aid. Well, that was after 2 decades of helping them. They certainly didn't trust me at first. And why would I have been interested in that? You can't spend 5 minutes in a Wookiee village without coming out smelling like wet fur. No, let them rule themselves. They can screw up their history just like every other race before them. No, I helped them in other ways. When I could, I would assist a few young ones who would get lost in the Shadowlands or attacked unexpectedly by the wildlife. I must say, for a while there the Wookiees actually thought I was some kind of benevolent forest god. Amusing, really. I set them straight eventually. At first, when the slavers took to hunting down lone Wookiees in the fringes of the Shadowlands, I did my best to divert them. Later, when Shundar made his deal, I didn't see any point. I wasn't here to save them from their own sad follies, after all. Nonsense. I had no idea that's what they were thinking for a long time. I just thought they were being friendly neighbors, leaving fruit and such for me. Later, when I started to understand some of their grunting, I realized they would say prayers to the Hairless One before descending into the forest. Hairless One. I used to have plenty of hair, I tell you. Well, at any rate, it took a few bruises, but I set the record straight. I traveled to Rookworo and met with the chieftain in front of everyone. Freyr swatted at me just to see if I was real or not. I was real, and while it was a light swat, Wookiees are terribly strong. I was knocked out cold for a day. The Wookiees all thought it was quite funny. Not really. Kashyyyk is a place you can feel very small in. It felt good to devote my time to helping people and living simply. What can I say? I did it all for the Wookiees. The Wookiees. Well, okay, maybe I needed some time on a quiet and remote planet, but if you ever need a friend, an incredibly strong hairball isn't a bad call. Why, thank you. You're not so bad yourself, all things considered. I suppose I am in a way, despite the smell. For a race of gardeners, they've developed quite interestingly. You remember the alien computer, correct? Kashyyyk was meant to be an agricultural planet. The Wookiees were made for a reason, or at least that's what I'm thinking. But I'm an old man who's had a long time to develop that opinion, so don't argue with me. See? Now you know how I feel half the time. At any rate, we should be moving along, don't you think? If you sat around this long in the Shadowlands, a tack would eat you. I suppose so. Not everyone would understand why the Jedi would suddenly start killing themselves and tearing up half the galaxy, would they? I was lost. I couldn't conceive of returning to the Jedi, so what would you propose I'd done? Are we back to that again? What's the best way for me to approach this? Perhaps it's time for a little story. You just keep quiet there, you. I've had to put up with all your busybody questions, haven't I? Well, now you'll listen to a story, damn it. Now, where was I? Oh, yes, the story. You almost made me forget about it. Nice try, but I'm not that old just yet. Now then, a young man sees a terribly venomous snake in his small village. Nervous, he watches the snake carefully until it leaves. The young man follows the snake into the forest. He clears the branches out of its path and helps it over obstacles. He even works to keep it fed. Shush! Many nights pass, and still the young man continues to follow the snake. He even follows it into the sands of the great desert. In the desert, the snake eventually grows hungry. It turns and bites the young man, its poison quickly working its way into his system. Finally, curious, the snake looks at the boy as he lays dying and asks, "Why were you foolish enough to follow me all the way out into the desert?" The boy looks back and replies, "Did I follow you? I thought I was leading you away from everyone else." And then he died. Well, now, that's what I wanted to see for myself. I've come a long way as it is, and I'm going to die anyway, so that doesn't bother me in the least. Well, then, Let's hope you're not the young man either. The real question is whether or not I'm as frightened as I should be, isn't it? I've told you before that you have a destiny before you. This does not mean, however, that your future is already written. They are not the same thing. You have the choice of which direction you take your destiny in. More than engine-sucking Andor, certainly. But even he had a choice. So far, you've chosen to take a darker path. You know the consequences of that. We'll see if you decide to stay your course. So far, you've chosen to take the lighter path. Can you stay that course, even through the challenges ahead? We'll have to wait and see. I'm not here to judge you or tell you which path to take. I'm here ready to offer you my help, should you ask for it. I do that because I think it's important. More important than remaining in my home and pretending the galaxy doesn't exist. That's why I'm here. I'm rather glad I came too, really. You're a fine young lad. I hope things turn out well for you. I'm rather glad I came too, really. You're a fine young lass. I hope things turn out well for you. So you say, but it's my time to waste. Perhaps I can influence your decision, perhaps not. Only time will tell, won't it? That's very kind of you, but while elsewhere may be safer, elsewhere isn't where I think I should be. Besides, what's an old man to fear from death, huh? Now then, I've chatted enough for one lifetime. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? Oh, I get it. Let's play with the old man's head, is it? He's half senile. He'll forget I said anything. Wait, what was this about anyway? Stop bothering me with your questions. I can barely hear myself think. I have no idea what you're talking about, Ramble. What are you saying? Nope, never was. Technically, I never rose above the rank of Padawan for various reasons. Does that surprise you? I suppose I'm not prone to live my life like most of the Jedi Masters do, that's true. My opinions on love are no different. In my case, becoming a Jedi would have been a formality. I doubt the Order and I would have gotten along well, considering my opinions on things such as love. No, I didn't. I may never have become a Jedi technically, but I'm an old Padawan with a lifetime of experience. That applies both to the Force as well as topics like love. I was an experienced Padawan, surely, but not yet ready to be a full Jedi, and certainly not ready to train another, especially not one so old as my wife. Not to mention that I had remained a Padawan throughout the war, or formality perhaps, but with the trial, it had to be decided if I was worthy to become a Jedi at all. They said I had learned wisdom the hard way. For all I had done during the war, they wished to raise me to full Jedi status at long last.
Excuse me, have you seen a mechanic about? Short fellow, bald, I've been looking...
Well, I'll be a Wookiee's uncle. Davin Coatress?
Jolee? Jolee Bindo? Why, you old freak. Last time I saw you, you were still wandering the galaxy in that old tug. I thought you were dead, old man.
I crashed somewhere and decided to stay.
Yeah, I'll just bet. Damn, old man, you look exactly the same as the last time I saw you. You pickle well.
You're too kind. Not the young lad anymore yourself, I see. Yes, right you are. Sorry, Davin, but duty calls. Maybe I'll run into you again soon. What are you, deaf? His name's Davin. Old friend from my Wanderer days. By the by, Davin, I really should be running off.
Of course, old man. Oh, wait. If you've been traveling in this sector, I suppose you heard about Sunry?
No, why? What's there to hear?
He's been picked up by the Selkath authorities here on Manan for murder.
That's preposterous.
I know. Laura is beside herself, as you can imagine. Maybe you could help them. I'm sure Sunray would appreciate a Jedi's assistance right about now.
Perhaps I will at that. It's up to my old friend here, actually. I'm just tagging along. I'd appreciate that. Sunry's an old friend. I'd hate to see him hurt.
Same here. Well, it was good to see you again. Give my regards to Alora if you see her.
I will. Be safe, old friend. I was expecting that. Still, if we get the chance, I'd be grateful. Sunry's an old friend. I'd hate to see him get hurt. What? You think because I'm a hermit I've always been a hermit? Just because I haven't seen Sunry for 20 years doesn't mean he's not a friend. A man could have changed a lot in that span of time, though. But to become a murderer, I can't see it. That's not the Sunry I knew. He was a good man. Put me up in his home for a year back after I left the Order. War hero, too. Or so I hear. I wouldn't mind helping the fellow if we can. I owe it to him. Or you can be a young monkey lizard and ignore me, I guess. Well, I don't expect much these days. So you'd...
Jolee, it is you. I need your help.
Laura, of all the people, how did you even know I'd left Kashyyyk?
I didn't. Nobody knew where you were, not even Sunry. But I heard the Selkath mention you and your friends. The Force has brought you to help us.
Why? Whatever could be the matter, my dear?
It's horrible, Jolee. Sunry has been arrested. The Sith have accused him of murder.
Murder? But how?
It's all a mistake, Jolee. Sunry isn't a murderer. Someone is trying to frame him.
Calm down, Elora. Where's Sunry now?
I hear you've been appointed as arbiter in Sunry's trial. My husband is innocent. Please don't let him go to jail for a crime he didn't commit. He's a cripple. There's no way he could have overpowered this Sith woman like they claim.
That's true. I'd forgotten about that. Let's not forget that he would had to have been considerably older than this Sith woman. I'm a Jedi, and one who is living alone in the Shadowlands until recently. That keeps you in shape, damn it. We're talking about Sunry here.
And there's no way he would do something so dishonorable as hit her from behind. Sunry's a decorated war hero. He's a hero of the Republic. Of course not. Yes. Yes, he was having an affair. He was seeing that Sith woman. After all these years we've been together, he just dropped me like that. Not publicly, oh no. But inside, that's what it feels like. He started seeing Alasa last year. I had my suspicions for a while, but he was careless. Pretty soon everyone knew. But even though I'm sure that harlot was only using him, I know he couldn't have killed her. He came and confessed to the affair to me. He said he was going there to break it off, to end it. Maybe the Sith woman attacked him, and he had to defend himself. But even though he cheated on me, inside he's still the man I loved. Love. He's too kind and gentle to have killed her in cold blood. That was a long time ago, in a war far, far away. He's changed now, settled down. Oh, just please, prove his innocence. What? Don't insult us both. Sunry is a just and honourable man. How dare you accuse him, us, of such a thing?
Now, Elora. We're not here to pass judgment, my dear. We do need to know everything if we're here to help, yes?
Find proof to set him free instead of bringing these baseless accusations against us. Lies! It must be. I knew the Sith would never let a Republic hero get away. You must find Sunry innocent. Find the real evidence. That's all I ask. The real evidence will prove Sunry didn't do this. This is all a plot to discredit the Republic. Sunry is a victim of a Sith frame-up.
It's possible. I haven't seen Sunry since I crashed on Kashyyyk. A man can change a lot in that time. The man I knew could never have done this crime, however.
Sunry's being held at the Selkath courts. They won't let anyone in to see him. Please, go to the courts. Talk to the judges. Maybe the Selkath will listen to you.
Don't worry, Elora. We'll get to the bottom of this and help Sunry, somehow. Speaking of that injury, has it been taken into consideration, Your Honor? Simply because it was real does not mean Sunry would have overlooked it being in Elasa's hand. I suppose you're Sunry's only hope. We have to at least try to help him. Yes, but it almost seems too heavily stacked, doesn't it? Very suspicious. I guess this is what they call working the system. Not that I'm objecting. I just hope the Selkath don't find out about it. I once had a holodisc that showed Mandalore doing the 3-step jiggy with a Rancor beast. Marvelous technology we have, you know. It may have been. I believe you should at least keep that possibility in mind. If somebody was going to go through all the trouble of making a false tape to indict Sunry, You think it would have turned up before now? Maybe it would be a good idea to show the tape to Sunray. Perhaps he has an explanation, or perhaps he doesn't. It would be sad if this proved that Sunray did actually perform this crime, but the truth is the truth, whether I like it or not. Alora sent me, Sunray. I'm here to get you out of this mess. The courts went and made us arbiters for your case.
Just like old times, Jolee? You come swooping in out of nowhere to save my tail from the fire?
You saved my wrinkle butt more than a few times as well, friend, if I recall. But there'll be time for catching up later. Right now, we need to focus on the case.
Well, I guess if you're going to be my arbiter, you'll need to hear what happened. I might as well start at the beginning. The case is a complete frame-up. Anyone looking at the evidence could see that, or so I thought. But the cellcasts seem to think that there's enough to go to trial. There aren't any witnesses. All that evidence against me is circumstantial and completely flawed. Well, you know I was having an affair with Elasa. I went there to break it off that night. But I can tell you it wasn't easy. She was young and beautiful. But I love Alora. I knew I had to do it. I broke it off quickly as I could, and then I left. I found out later she'd been murdered when the Selkath authorities came knocking on my door. Well, I was at the hotel, I admit, and I did meet Elasa there that night, but it's not what you think. I was working with Republic intelligence. We were pretending to feed information to the Sith. Well, I turned Elasa into a double agent working for us. It was going well, too, until she turned up dead. Maybe the Sith had found out I was turning her and had her eliminated. But let's look at the facts they've given. Elasa was brutally killed. Think about that. She was a Sith, trained in battle, and I'm just a crippled old man. My war injuries make it difficult for me to walk, even to hold things. See how my hands are shaking? How could I kill a Sith warrior at close quarters? I ask you. Further, they say they found my hero's cross at the crime scene. Would I leave my war medal behind if I killed someone? Even I'm not that stupid. Obviously, the Sith planted the cross. And what about the lack of forensic evidence? Skin and hair samples, clothing fibers. Why isn't there anything like that at the crime scene? Sounds like an obvious frame-up to me. I hope you can see how the Sith are manipulating the Selkath, and probably even you to set up this against me. We need to get this over with quickly and clear my name. Guess you could interview witnesses at the hotel where the murder happened. The Selkath already did that, but the fish folk don't have much rapport with off-worlders. Maybe one of them was holding something back. But I think you'd be better off investigating the Sith themselves. Maybe you could find some proof they planted evidence to frame me. Though that might mean figuring out a way into the Sith embassy. I know it was wrong, but I'm a weak man. Elasa was beautiful and young. How was I to resist her charms? But I didn't kill her. I loved her. Please, I know I made a terrible mistake getting involved with Elasa, but I was going there to break it off with her. I did it, but found out later that she was dead. I don't deserve to go to jail just for having an affair, do I? You have to help me prove that I wasn't the killer. Yes, I suppose you do. Please forgive my outburst. This has been a terribly stressful time for me. I'm sure there is more you want to ask me. A Rhodian? I didn't know there were any Rhodians on Manan. Oh, except for Tyvark and this one named Glupar, who was hanging around the hotel all the time. Okay, so maybe there are a whole bunch of Rhodians on Manan. But what does that matter? If he planted evidence at the scene, it's a clear sign of a frame-up. He probably took all the evidence of the real killer at the same time. The evidence of a Sith conspiracy keeps getting stronger, doesn't it? But I suspect there's still stuff you want to clear up. So the truth is out. I never meant to kill her, you know. When I found out she was a Sith spy using me to gain information, something inside me just snapped. She didn't know I had found out. So I waited until she fell asleep. And then I killed her. Simple, really. But once I realized what I'd done, I panicked. I contacted those spies from the Republic to help me. They found the illegal monitoring device that the Sith had planted in the room, altered its recording to hide my part in it, and cleared up the evidence. I figured that was the end of it. The Sith must have been spying on me and Alasa, trying to make sure she wasn't a double agent. They must have seen the Republic spies getting rid of all the evidence, and so they planted their own evidence. Alasa must have stolen that hero's cross from me long ago and given it to her Sith masters like some kind of trophy. I just thought I'd misplaced it. But when the cross turned up on her body, I knew the Sith had put it there. So, now you know the whole story. What are you going to do? You think I'm some kind of monster, don't you? All I did was kill a Sith. How many Sith have you killed? Dozens? Hundreds? Thousands?
That's different, Sunry, and you know it. We don't kill them in cold blood while they sleep.
I don't see how the two of us are any different. She was a spy. She was using me to get information so Malak's army could destroy the Republic. She deserved his eye. If I confess, I'm looking at 20 years in prison. And the Otto City officials might even place Kolto sanctions on the Republic Embassy. Without Kolto, how can we treat the injuries to our soldiers on the front lines? No, I can't do that. And put the Republic's supply of Kolto in danger. No, I won't. Now look, I may have done something stupid, and it may only be worse for my standing by it, but I will not confess.
Sunry, this is wrong, and you know it. I am a Jedi. What is it that you expect me to do to defend your actions?
You do whatever you have to, Jolee. I know what I did, but I also know what's at stake here. No, I'll rot in here if I have to, but I won't betray the Republic. Do what you have to, but know what the consequences will be.
But Sunry is a murderer. I'm sorry, old friend, but you are. I can't approve of this. You go ahead, however, if that's what you think is best. I'm sorry, Sunry. And Alora, there's nothing more we can do.
Oh, Sunry. No! Sunry. No.
No, Your Honors. I demand the death penalty.
The Republic will attempt to have him freed, Alora. I am sure. This is the best we can do. I'm sorry.
Sunry?
Your Honors, no!
Oh, Sunry, I'm so glad.
Elora!
We have done all we could for you, old friend. Don't thank me. Thank your arbiter. I was glad to help.
Thank you for saving me. I don't know how I can repay you. Elora and I are going to leave here and get as far away from all this as soon as we can.
You did what was necessary. Sunry was guilty, as sad as that fact makes me. Justice had to be done. Doesn't matter that his victim was a Sith or that he was once a hero. I only wish that my old friend hadn't done it. But that's the thing about wishes. They don't come true. And now Sunry's dead, which is a shame. He was a good man, you know, once. Well, I don't want to talk about this anymore. My jaw aches. You defended him well enough. I wish we had time to look into matters more fully. But wishing is only useful for the young and idealistic. What's done is done. The Republic will likely appeal the matter eventually, and he'll be free. I just would like to know if that's best. Sunry was a good man once, and a good friend. I'll miss him. Innocent. I don't know what to make of it, to tell the truth. Do you think justice has been done? I see. I am not so sure. If he did kill that woman, Sunry's going to have to live with that on his conscience. And if he's justified her death in his mind, well, Sunry was a good man once. I only hope that is still the case. I enjoyed his company. But that has little to do with the law, doesn't it? A sad state of affairs, that. Too bad, really. Sunry was a good man once.
The task paid well, but was boring, and beneath me. I was told to lure the Selkath youth to the Sith embassy. Nothing more. I lied, I threatened, I promised, and I brought the most promising youth of the fish people to the Sith.
So you tricked these innocents into going to the Sith base. And then what did you do with them?
And there I left them. To what purpose I neither know nor care. Perhaps when the Sith learn I have betrayed their secret, they will try to kill me. I would welcome the excitement.
Sounds like the Sith are trying to win this planet by corrupting the Selkath youth. Much more subtle than their usual methods.
The Harakert Rift is a source of Kolto?
Why would the Republic risk so much to send troops there? I don't get it.
You think the Republic is trying to steal the Kolto, perhaps? An odd thing for the Republic to do, no? Be careful here, kid. Start poking your nose in a place it doesn't belong, and you might not like what you find. Just be careful with those gifts you've already learned. Beware the dark side, or you may end up betraying your world regardless. I'm not sure what kind of game you're playing, kid, but I don't understand it. Why would you help spread Sith propaganda like this is beyond me.
Lord Malak was most displeased when he learned you had escaped Taris alive. He has promised a great reward to whoever destroys you.
Well, let me guess. You intend to collect this reward, right? See? What did I tell you?
All my companions are dead. The Selkath swarmed over us. There were dozens of them. And they looked wrong, somehow. Like something had changed inside them. Insane or something.
They looked wrong. This whole place smells wrong. Like an Aurelian Ergoth egg gone bad in the hamper.
Doesn't smell so bad to me, old man.
Must be those reliable and finely tuned senses of yours, mercenary.
My husband was a hunter, killed out on the dunes. This raid plate is all I have left. Please, will you buy it? I don't need a handout. I just can't sell it to Faza without a license. Please, I'm worried about having it. They're so rare.
And how many more like you are there out there with no one to buy their plates, I wonder? You've got a real mean streak, kid. You might want to work on that. Nasty people tend to come to nasty ends. I'm thinking they're with the sand people who live in the south. Either that or I need my ears cleaned. That seems pretty convenient, but it won't hurt to look. We are going to look, right? Oh, I get it. He's small and helpless, so we can just do whatever we want, right? Sometimes I just don't know about you, kid.
Gee, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. Warehouse workers have a bad habit of paying off their debts with other people's property, you know?
You know, I may have been out of circulation for a while, but doesn't it seem likely to you that this friend of yours didn't own the droid? Ugh, must we stand so close to them? I'd forgotten what Gamorreans smelled like.
I suppose, but so what? When that resource goes belly up, I'll just move on. I'm just a wandering spirit, I guess.
Hunting a species to extinction. Now there's a logical way to make a living.
Please, no! Take it then. But you may as well have just killed me. You've trapped us here with nothing.
My. You should be proud of yourself outwitting her like that.
Back off, old man. I thought you were the non-involved type, remember?
Warning.
I bet you just can't understand why they wouldn't trust someone who's only in it for the money.
Money's honest, old man. More honest than a conniving Jedi.
You know, for a brute, you say the sweetest things. Do as we say, scoundrel. You don't want to anger a short-tempered Jedi. Not even willing to expend a bit of effort in actual persuasion, huh? Well, you do what you like. Seems fairly clear to me, though he doesn't seem used to people actually stopping to listen. Nicely done, kid. Those extra credits can come in handy on our little search. Besides, it's not like Zerk or Corp can't afford it.
Well, it would appear that I've worn out my welcome with my wife Marlena. She fixes my droids. Fixed 'em good this time.
Philandering ways coming back to haunt him, I'll wager.
The wife put a kink in my battle droids. They're in some sort of discharge loop. And if I move from this spot, they're threatening to blow up. She knew I wouldn't know how to fix 'em. Could you try to do some repairs? They don't care if you move. It's just me who's stuck.
Maybe we could program them to tap dance. I love a good tap dance.
This isn't funny. Come on!
Translation. He says we may enter only if we have the items the chieftain asked for. He doesn't appear open to bargaining. Translation. It has had the expected effect. I hope you are ready for battle.
You keep turning on people like this, kid, and one day you just might find yourself without any help when you really need it.
Anyone else get the feeling that finding this star map in the back of this Krayt Dragon's cave is more than just a coincidence?
The star map is an artifact of the dark side. The Krayt Dragon may have been drawn here by its dark power, only to be enslaved by it. Well, no point hanging around here. Now that we've got the star map, we might as well move on. Finding this star map here in this cave gives me a cold shiver. You don't think it's just coincidence that the Krayt Dragon made its home here, do you?
Look here, my dear friends. We have a group of newcomers to our little colony. I don't believe I've seen any of them before, have you?
Well, if you'd seen us before, we wouldn't be newcomers, would we?
You, Jedi, you're looking to get into the Academy, are you not? Well, of course you are. Why else would you be here? Let me pose a question to you. These hopefuls will never survive in the Academy. A lesson must be taught here, but I am at a loss as to what form it should take.
Well, if you can't think of anything cruel, you really shouldn't be out here, young man, should you?
I wasn't talking to you.
I have only one other question. These companions of yours, they will not be coming with you, I presume?
My hearing's not so good. I'm just pleased my nice master doesn't beat me so much anymore. Yes, sir.
There's something odd about this servant of yours.
So long as the Sith do not object to them, neither will I. They will be your responsibility, of course.
Aren't we always? Did you save the boy or just crush his dreams? I wonder.
Oh? I heard that the droid ran out and blasted off into the sky. We tracked it for a short while before it vanished from our scanners. What do you make of that? I suppose so. That would explain his disappearance from our scanners, certainly, though I would prefer proof. Still, it shows innovative thinking.
It shows innovative something, that's for sure.
The tomb is an ancient ruin on the surface that was visited years ago by Darth Revan and Darth Malak. They discovered a star map there of great importance.
You don't say. Well, the Master loves tombs, don't you, Master?
Not really, no. I never progressed beyond Padawan. I have discipline, but no peace. And after my treatment at the hands of the Hutts, there was little room in me for the ways of the Jedi.
You sound very much like someone I used to know.
Yes, well, I imagine I am not unique. Things very easily could have been very different for me.
Too long in the cold and the dark. I am disturbed again. A human.
Now this you don't see every day. This is an old spirit full of the Force. I sense great sadness and regret. Walk carefully.
We destroyed each other. We desired the secrets of each other to increase our power. We battled until finally our fortress rained down on top of us.
The Sith consumed themselves, did they? I suppose that eventually they'd be all they'd have left to fight.
Isn't it obvious? I've been hoping that someone would do the dirty work in retrieving the sword of Ajunta Paul for some time. It's been quite a wait.
Typical. Always ready to jump at what they perceive to be the easier path.
I apologize, Sentient, for I cannot take the risk that you will tell of my presence here. I will use force to make you remain if necessary.
Well, so much for the sanctity of life.
There is no need for things to come to that, however. If you could perform a task for me, then we could both leave here in peace.
You mean the light side? I've never thought about that. Can you even go back? I've hurt a lot of people.
There's always remorse and atonement. That's the harder path, though, boy. Think you can do that? The Sith are big on the ancient power of the dark side. It only makes sense we'd find one of those star maps in a place like this. So now that we've got the star map, let's say we get out of here. The dampness in these tombs is hard on my old bones. Take an old man's advice, Euthura. I know the Jedi aren't as perfect as they think they are, but their way is a lot better than the way of the Sith.
That is murder, and this young person is not even a Sith.
If a Sith told you to go jump off a cliff, would you?
That's beside the point.
Those are very brave words for such an insignificant person. Do you not realize how many Sith are here in Dresde?
12. No, wait, 13.
Nice one, old man.
Thank you. It takes effort to be properly irreverent at my age.
Ah, I trust you will be responsible for ensuring your slaves are not disruptive, then.
Suddenly I'm a convincing slave, am I? Maybe you should have left me on the ship.
I always think we should leave you on the ship, old man.
Don't get smart-mouthed with me, young man. You're not too old to put over my knee.
Oh, it's a test, all right. It's a test to see if they're actually fool enough to die. If they don't, however, I certainly wouldn't admit them just for that accomplishment.
Why not just shoot them where they stand? It would at least be more direct.
That's what I would do.
Of course that's what you would do. Now, where are you going with this, I wonder?
Shut up, old man. And don't spoil anything, or I'll twist that scrawny neck of yours.
It was just an idle question. Don't get so testy, damn it.
Well, if we're gonna pick someone to save our skins, we better do it quick. In another minute, we're gonna have Sith troops marching up our loading ramp.
I don't think I could use my force powers to convince a whole squadron of troopers to let me go free, but maybe I can use it to get them to take me to a separate cell. They'll probably only leave a single guard to watch over an old man like me. I could use the force to convince the guard to set me free. Then I could free the rest of you. I've learned a few things in my time, kid. Don't underestimate the force, for one. But it's your call. If you want to try a different plan, go ahead.
We found an old man in the back. I think we should keep him separate from the others for questioning.
A strange request. And why do you think this old man should be segregated?
I'm not sure, Commander. After speaking with him, I just think we should question him away from the others. I agree, Commander. After speaking with the old man, I think we should question him away from the others.
Very well. The Admiral is probably too busy to bother with this old man anyway. Take him to solitary confinement for interrogation. Report back to me if you learn anything.
God, I need to speak with you.
What do you want, old man? You better not be trying to cause any trouble, or you'll be sorry.
The cell is too drafty. My old bones could catch a chill in here. We don't want that. You better let me out.
Yes, it's too drafty in there. Your old bones might catch a chill. We don't want that. Get out of there.
You shouldn't have let me out, Sonny. That was wrong. Admiral Kareth won't be too happy with you disobeying his orders.
Yes, what I did was wrong. Very wrong.
You deserve to be locked up in the cell for disobeying orders.
Yes, I deserve to be locked up for disobeying orders. What just happened? What am I doing in here? Damn you, old man. I'll kill you if I ever get out of here.
Then I'll be sure to never let you out. Goodbye, Sonny.
Where is Bastila? What happened on the ship?
We ran into Malik. He would have killed us, but Bastila sacrificed herself so we could get away.
You mean she's dead?
Bah, Malik won't kill her. Don't be foolish. He'll want to use her battle meditation against the Republic. Turn her to the dark side, and the Sith will always be victorious. What about me? I already knew who you were, though it wasn't my place to tell you. Better off that you know, if you ask me. Does it change anything? I'm not here to judge you. You'll do what you have to do, and I'll help if I can. Think you'd never heard of the Force before. Seems obvious enough to me it was meant to be.
The Starforge. It's huge. I've never seen anything like it before.
I can feel the power of the dark side emanating from that space station. It almost feels like it's alive. That must be where Malik has taken Bastila.
I'm transmitting these coordinates to Admiral Dodonna. Maybe a quick strike by the Republic can cripple the Sith fleet. Message is away. We should probably wait for the Republic fleet to show up before we try and rescue Bastila. We'll need cover if we want to fly in and dock on the Starforge. We've got company. A small vanguard of Sith fighters coming in hard. Get on those gun turrets! Take those fighters out before they report our position to the main fleet.
What was that? What's wrong? Did one of the Sith fighters hit us?
No, it's something else. We've flown into some kind of disruptor field. All my instruments are jammed. We've got massive overloads on all systems. I'm picking up a single planet.
I fear Bastila will find the lure of the dark side difficult to resist. She is strong in the Force, but she's also impulsive, willful, and proud, as you once were, Revan. I'm glad to hear you say that. Now that you know your true identity, I was afraid you might slip back over to the dark side. If Bastila feels as you do, there may yet be hope for her. Wait a minute. Do you understand these creatures? You must have learned their language when you came here in search of the secrets to the Starforge, back when you were still Revan. I remember, though I hoped you would not be so quick to embrace the being you once were. If Bastila feels as you do, then she is lost to us, Revan.
You're back. But where's Bastila? Is she alive? What happened inside that temple? The dark side. Bastila. No! How could that happen?
She was always in danger of being seduced by the dark side, Koth. Bastila was strong, but she was always impatient and headstrong. Malik preyed upon her weakness. This planet is a tainted place. The Starforge and the Temple have twisted the Force into an instrument of evil, just as Malik has twisted Bastila into a servant of the Sith. Malik has a strong hold on Bastila now. It will be difficult for her to break free of his influence, especially considering her long association with you. In the end, we all choose our own path, but keep in mind the role that you played in her downfall. You and the task assigned to her by the Jedi Council. Remember the bond that was forged between you when she rekindled the spark that was your life. Through that bond, she touched your memories, and also the echo of the dark taint within you. Well, I'm an old man, and I know you should take love when you can find it. Good for you two, I say. Wait, You can't go in there alone.
We have had a premonition. The Force has given us a vision. There is great danger within the temple. We cannot let you face it alone.
You might be walking into a trap. Maybe Malik himself is waiting inside. Even if he isn't, that temple will be crawling with dark Jedi. You'll need all the help you can get. Your destiny, maybe the fate of the entire galaxy, could be forever changed inside that temple. I'm not about to let you face that alone. Not after my premonition. There's a reason I had that vision.
Jolee speaks for both of us. You must enter the temple, but we must go with you.
So you just tell that guide of yours to do whatever he has to do to get us all inside the temple. I don't know what he said, but it sounds like your guide's being stubborn. We don't have time for this. The Republic fleet is on the way, and we're stuck on this planet until we deactivate that disruptor field. You have to convince him to get us inside that temple. Why do I get the feeling this is going to take a while? Still, we better stay ready. As soon as those shields go down, we have to get inside the temple. Not exactly the way I would have handled it, but given the circumstances, it'll do. It's not too late for you, Bastila. The dark side is evil, but it isn't all-powerful. You can still fight against it. Don't let it consume you.
You are beneath my contempt, old man. You hid like a coward for decades on Kashyyyk. You know nothing about the true potential of the Force.
Listen to me. The dark side leads to death and destruction. I've seen the horrors the Sith have unleashed on the galaxy. Turn away from this path.
Shut up, old man. Your time is over. The age of the Jedi and the Republic is no more. This is the age of Darth Revan and the Sith.
Don't do this, kid. I don't want to, but I'll fight you if I have to, even if it costs me my life. I'm a Jedi. I'll never bow down to the Sith. If you go through with this, I have no choice but to do battle against you.
Kill him. Grind his old bones to dust. Show him the fate of all who dare stand against us. Embrace the dark side.
No, don't give in to your anger. Remain calm. Remain focused. Don't let her twist your mind like this. No doubt. I must say that it's good to have you with us, my dear. For a minute there, I thought you might decide... Well, never mind what I thought.
Decide? Decide what?
Bastila tried to tempt her to the dark side, to reclaim Revan's heritage. She failed.